Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Another week, another opposition preview. Of course, this week it's Arsenal. I'm so happy to say that I'm joined by Lee from Arsenal Fan TV. Lee, thank you so much for coming back on the show today.
Oh, no problems. My pleasure. My pleasure.
So Arsenal, of course, third in the table. Bit of a strange season because Liverpool have been doing so well, but obviously you've sort of been second best to Manchester City for a couple of years, and the one year that they seem to have cooled off the title chase, it's seems that you are maybe doing the same. But what have been your thoughts on Arsenal's season so far?
It's been difficult with the injuries and whatever, but I know you're not going to like this. You've got to give Liverpool credit for what they've done. You know, they're turning out results, not just in the league, in the Champions League. If you ever look at Arsenal, Aston Villa, Man City, you can also say, oh, the Champions League has took its toll a little bit, but that doesn't happen with their theory. You know, they've won every single game in there as well and continue to do in the league as well. So they're doing exceptional things at the moment, and you just got to roll your hands up and say, look, they're doing fantastically well, but hopefully it comes to an end very, very quickly. But they didn't even play last week, and it was a good weekend for them. So yeah. Listen, we've had injuries, we've had silly sending offs and things like that. But when it's really mattered, I don't think we've been too disappointing. You know, we've gone to City, should have won that game. We played Liverpool without a back four and was 2-1 up, and a poor decision by the referee. We could have won that game. So we've gone to some tough games. Gone to Villa, gone to Spurs, and got results. So I don't think it's as all doom and gloom as what people think it is. It's just I think that Liverpool have just been exceptional at this moment in time. But obviously, because City have not been quite at it, and I watched City in the against Juventus, and there's something not quite right with them. So it's an opportunity for Liverpool or Arsenal and Chelsea as well. I think that they're definitely in it to get on runs and make it happen. So listen, we've got to just start winning games. And like last Sunday was a disappointment, dropping 2 points at Fulham, which is a difficult place to go. But you've got difficult places to go. We're in that position now where we've got to win those games.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about that Fulham match. So Fulham, of course, it maybe some people could say a hard fought point, but you've got to be upset there dropping 2, haven't you?
Yeah, listen, I think Fulham played a complete different way to they're normally done, and I think that's something we've got to get used to. Teams are going to come and they're sitting there and different. Listen, if teams go toe to toe with us, we're going to beat them most times. So teams are finding a different way to play against us. Fulham found a different way to play against us. They won't do that every week at home. Of course they won't, and but I think it's on us to break it down, and I didn't think we did. I didn't think we did enough to win that game. That was the disappointing thing. I think if Leno in goal makes 5 or 6 goal saves and things like that, then you can turn around and go, do you know what? We was a little bit unlucky. It was like this and that. But we didn't really pepper him. It was just a poor performance from us, I think, when we needed to do when pressure's on. Unfortunately, when pressure's on a little bit, that's when you've got to flex your muscles a little bit, And I think that with Arsenal, whether it's still Arteta not learning or the team still not quite there yet, that there's always those games when one game under a little bit of pressure, we just tighten up a little bit and it just doesn't happen. So that's my worry going forward, that I think that we can get on a run, but then there is that one game when you need to win and a little bit of pressure's on, and the free-flowing football sometimes isn't there. And we haven't got any other way to play. Sometimes you have to find different ways, and I think Arsenal play the same way all the time. And people will come down to say it's maybe because we haven't got a striker. But if you even look at Wednesday's game, we've had 3 1-on-1s and didn't take one of them.
So of course, Mikel Arteta, he's one that I know pretty well as a player. But is there a bit of pressure on him to bring a trophy for Arsenal?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there should be as well. I think that we've got to start winning things. Look, I think he's done a fantastic job to get us where we are. I'm in the camp of like 5-6 years ago, never thinking we'd ever challenged for a title. Like, so to say go and win it is a lot tougher than what people think it is. Particularly when you're up against a team like Man City and Liverpool as well. You've got to bring them into it. Like people keep going on about Man City's drop off and that. Liverpool were in the title race last season as well. People forget that, so they're up there as well. So I think that there is pressure on him. I think that he's let himself down in the last couple of years, particularly, is that he's sort of like not worried about the domestic trophies. Gone out early in the League Cup, the FA Cup. We've had difficult draws, and again, we've got another one this season. We've had Liverpool and Man City in the last 2 years. Early doors, but I think a couple of seasons before that, he'd sort of lost to teams that he shouldn't have done. So I think that there is pressure on us to bring some sort of trophy in it. Listen, be really honest. If Arsenal win the Carabao Cup and don't win the league, the people are still going to be wanting his head. I think it's just the territory that we're in these days. So I think he's doing a good job. I'm definitely still backing him. Look, he's made mistakes this season. I'm not going to say that he hasn't, and he has with team selection. I don't think he sorted out the Odegaard situation. And I think even on Sunday against Fulham, he got the team wrong. He makes mistakes. All managers make mistakes. It's just that you can't afford to make mistakes when you're right up there at this moment. So the trouble with the league at the moment, and a draw is like a defeat, and that's what it's like at this moment in time. You can't afford to even draw games. Now, to win the title, it's very, very difficult. But listen, I think that there is pressure on him. If he could get over the line with a trophy this season, I think it would ease it a little bit. But I think there's such a demand for success these days in the way that it is with social media and everything like that. It's just part of the territory now, and I think that he's got to handle that. And I think he does, to be fair. I think that he's pretty shrewd. And listen, I think that there's a long way to go yet, and people are already sort of saying, "I'll get rid of him now." It's just ridiculous talk, ridiculous.
Yeah, and of course, Everton, it's exhausting. I actually I envy you a lot, Lee, that you don't have to talk about us every week. But of course, it's been a massive fall off for the club in the last sort of 25, 30 years. What are your thoughts on Everton this season? Do you think we're getting worse from an outside looking in? Can you see an improvement?
That's an unbelievable question. Do I see an improvement? Not really, but I don't see a drop off neither. I think that Everton is, listen, I've got a massive soft spot for Everton for obvious reasons and things like that. But I think that it's a precious season this season, because going into the stadium next year, I like a few Evertonians and all that. I know are really looking forward to the season, going into the new stadium and everything like that. And I always say to them, don't go too much on that. Like Goodison Park will always be special, and yeah, I know there's a few fans that can't wait to get away from there. I was a little bit like that with Highbury, and I regret that now. But I think the one thing I don't think Everton have addressed, and I think that you could throw this at Arsenal as well, is the striker, the goal scorer. I think Everton at times look really okay, and they just don't look like they're going to score. And then it comes back and bites you, as it does. Calvert-Lewin's not the player he was 2 or 3 seasons ago because of injuries and whatever. And I think if they could address that, I think Everton would be okay. I think Sean Dyche, I don't want to upset Everton fans and whatever. I think he's a good manager and doing a good job there, like to take you to a certain place. And I think that eventually, like, Everton will look elsewhere. But I think he's doing under the circumstances, and particularly last season with what happened last season. I thought he done unbelievable. A little bit of pressure off this season. I think probably Evertonians will thought maybe there'd be a little bit more of a kick on. But I think that it's tough, you know what I mean? If you're playing a system and playing against teams that are maybe better than you at the time, and you haven't got that killer instinct, that striker, because I think Everton set up really difficult to beat and are hard to beat and everything like that. But you need that bit of armory in there, and they haven't got that at this moment in time. That's how I see Everton. I think that, you know, looking at tomorrow's game, I think that Arsenal, if we can get an early goal, we'll be all right, because the firepower at Everton isn't what it should be for a club like Everton. That's what I think. But I'm sure you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
So in terms of Arsenal, of course, you know, now Martin Odegaard's back. He's absolutely huge for you. How do you think Arsenal will what is the lineup currently for Arsenal, and how do you think you guys will line up on the weekend?
Well, it's a really interesting question. I think that defensively, I think that I wouldn't do it, but I think that he'll play Thomas Partey at right back, and left back will be Timber, two central defenders, Kivior and Saliba, unless obviously Gabriel and Calafiori are back. I don't think that they will be. So we say that without them, so I think they'll go with that. So I would go with Miles Skillett left back and Timber at right back. The midfield, very, very interesting. But with Thomas Partey playing at right back, Declan Rice, Marino, and Odegaard, and then the front three, I think Havertz are coming for Jesus. Interesting what they do on the left-hand side. I would stick with Martinelli, but the way it's been going, I think that he'd probably go with Trossard. He seems to be playing in one game each, which I don't agree with, and Saka on the right. I think that's what the team be. So I think that I would play Martinelli, but I think he'll play Trossard.
And obviously, pretty easy one to predict that this one's probably going to be an Arsenal win. Historically, we do absolutely terribly at the Emirates. But score predictions for the weekend?
Do you know what? I think if we get an early goal, you're not going to like this, probably 3 or 4. But I think it'd be a lot tough. I think Everton would be a real tough nut to crack. So I'm going to say 2-0. I think that Everton I watched Everton against Man United, you know what I mean? Desperately wanted you guys to win, and it was probably like the worst defensive performance that you've played all season. So I'm hoping that you defend like that. But that was, I think, a one-off for you guys. I think normally you defend very, very well. And cause us, you know, tough time. Sean Dyche, by the way, I know like he hasn't got a great record against. He's got not a bad record against us at the Emirates. He's always caused us problems with the way he sets out and you know, that's a sort of like our Achilles heel, the way that teams like that play. And I think that Everton will do that. I think you guys would say you take a point now. So I think that's what you look to try and get and try and hit us on the break or at set pieces. So I think it's set piece kings, and it like both teams this one. So I think that you're very, very good at them as well. So I think it's going to be a tough game for us, you know. But if we get that early goal, I think that that will just give us a little. I think I will be nervous going into the game, so I think the players will be. So if Arsenal get that early goal, that will take away the little bit of tension in the crowd and everything like that, and I think we'd be fine. But and then hopefully you go on a big run after that.
And then of course we can't let this Arsenal Everton opposition view go without talking about the fantastic image that's been doing the rounds this week on social media, of course, of the late great Kevin Campbell. Of course, the picture with him in both clubs' kits with one of our own on it. I understand he was a really good friend of yours as well, Lee, and he's obviously, of course, has been on our channel as well. Gave us a lot of his time actually, and it's one of those interviews that if you go back and watch it, it puts a smile on your face. So yeah, he was a fantastic man, wasn't he? And had time for everybody. And I think hopefully he'll be looking down on Saturday, hoping for a 0-0 draw, I think.
Yeah, like listen, he didn't like these games. He didn't like these games because, like, obviously Arsenal was his team, boyhood team, but Chelsea, like Everton was his love, if you like. You know, with he loved Everton, and they loved him, like, you know. So it was. He never really enjoyed those games, you know. He always said to me, like, he want the team to win. He always want Arsenal to win, but he always want Everton to do, you know, to do well as well, like, you know. And you know, he's a massive Arsenal supporter, but Everton was a big thing for him. So yeah, it's going to be an emotional time for me, because this is obviously the first time that Arsenal and Everton have played. And we, you know, that we'd go into Winslow after the game. Everton Arsenal, and you know, we'd always talk about the game before and after, like, you know. So, and it was all for me, it was always great to go to Everton, particularly go to Everton and see that the love that he got from the fans of Everton. Of course, like when he passed, you know, the big billboard up there, I went and see it. Took a special trip up to Liverpool to see it, and I had the picture done yesterday with that one there. It's just such a lovely picture. And yeah, it's just a sad time. You know, as you say, he give everybody their time. You know, fans. He was just a massive person for fans. You know, loved Everton fans and do anything for them, and do anything for Arsenal fans as well. And I was fortunate to be able to see that and experience that. And I still haven't got over it, you know. Still haven't got over what it all, you know. And it's sort getting bloody emotional talking about it. But like, you go into the game tomorrow. As much as it's important that Arsenal win, the points, Everton the same, I'll just be thinking about Kevin for most of that game, like, because it's just, that's how it, you know. And there's always things that are coming up, like, you know. You know, February's his birthday, so that'll be another thing. But there's always, like, you know, Christmas coming up as well. But there's also like that Everton and Arsenal games now forever, I think, will be remembered for Kevin. And I know that Arsenal are doing something tomorrow as well. So, and yeah, I'm pretty sure at the Everton game, there'll be the same thing as well. And the great thing about Arsenal and Everton, for me, is that I know that the Arsenal fans and the Everton fans will be all the same about what they talk about with Kevin, you know. So, you know, that he touched everybody's hearts and feelings, whether you be an Evertonian and or an Arsenal fan. And the thing is the distance between Liverpool and London is so massive, but he brought it together for me, like, you know. I loved going. That's why I've got a soft spot for Everton. Never want to see them doing what bad. And I know that what Everton meant to Kevin as well, like, you know. So that's you know, that was a big part of his life. And yeah, so it'll be an emotional game tomorrow for me. Very, very emotional, like, you know. And I love it now. I don't know if it is up there in Liverpool, but down here, everybody's calling it the Kevin Campbell derby. So I love that. Absolutely love that. That Arsenal and Everton is the Kevin Campbell derby. And I think that's what it should be called from now on, like, you know, the Kevin Campbell derby. Fantastic.
Yeah. And they should always have it on a Thursday so we can wear our dicky bows.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if I want to go there on a Thursday, like, but yeah, you know what I mean? So it always looks smart on a Thursday, you know. So,
well, you'll be happy to know, Lee, that his name still gets sung at every single game. When we're winning, which isn't very often, but as soon as we score a goal, that's the first chant that always comes out, Super Kevin Campbell. But we'll leave it there. Lee, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Of course,
no worries.
If you need me to tell you to go and follow Lee, you need to give your head a wobble. He's one of the biggest football content creators out there. And of course, thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time today, Lee.
No problems whatsoever. Like, and as I say, like, you know, wishing all the Everton fans a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'm sure it'll be a good one for you going into your new stadium next year.
Well, thank you very much, of course. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Toffee Blues, and I'll see you in the next one.